Hi, thank you for joining me today to learn more about digital storytelling. This learning opportunity is hosted by the Washoe County School District 21st Century Learning Division. My name is Sarah Stewart, and I am the Striving Readers Instructional Technology Specialist, and I will be your presenter today. So let's start by defining digital storytelling. It's important to know that there are quite a few definitions out there, but one I particularly like is on the screen. I'd like you to take a moment to read this. In addition to this, I usually describe digital storytelling as a presentation, a communication that includes all of these elements: voice, digital images, music, and motion, and it conveys or information or tells a story. It incorporates planning, and this is great for education because that includes writing and revision. I suggest using planning tools like a storyboard. It encourages exploration of an idea through the use of technology tools. And because it's a digital story, it can be shared digitally, obviously, in various formats, usually as a movie. So next, we need to address the why. Here you can see a handful of reasons. I particularly believe that it's a great creativity tool, a great communication tool, and it promotes digital literacy. So in addition to writing, our students are getting essential practice with skills of researching to find the right images, and they have to ask the questions about copyright and fair use. Same thing with music. And then they have to make sure they're making the right decisions of deciding what elements help strengthen their communication message. So it definitely promotes all of these skills that you see on the screen and more. So now that you have a better understanding of what digital stories might look like, I'd like you to take a moment and I will provide you with some different examples. And I'd like you just to get an idea of the diversity around what digital stories look like. They can support really any content area. They can be produced by children of all ages, kindergarten through adulthood. And there's a multitude of different tools as well. So there really is no right or wrong way to do a digital story. If you're meeting all of those requirements that we originally talked about, then there's a lot of leeway as far as what tools you use and what elements you choose, and therefore the final product is going to come out looking quite different in a lot of different cases. So I'd like you to go ahead and explore and take note of some of the features and elements that you like. Okay, so we've had a chance to look at some examples. We've addressed what digital storytelling is and why it's important. To continue on the why, I'd like to bring in our standards. Digital storytelling is a perfect fit for many of our Nevada academic content standards, Common Core. I'm going to let you read some of the standards that it is a good fit for. Here's the first one. As far as this standard goes, most digital storytelling tools accommodate online publishing, so it's easy to accomplish the first major piece of this standard, which is to produce and publish. But many tools can also accommodate the interaction and collaboration piece as well. If this is something you're hoping to accomplish, you want to make sure that you look for a tool that can allow for multiple authors to create a work together. Here's another example of a standard that digital storytelling supports. Of course, by creating a digital product rather than traditional, we're able to meet even more standards. And then I'd like you to read this last statement. Throughout the Nevada academic content standards, the word digital is quite ubiquitous. It's very clear that students are expected to know and understand how to use digital tools to meet a variety of communication needs. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about how to begin. Digital storytelling is a topic that I could easily spend, 15 hours working with you, but I'd like you to leave after this short presentation with a clear picture of how to begin. And I want you to be able to feel comfortable knowing what some initial steps are. So to begin, you need to find a story. Your students need to find a story. A digital story can be informational or it could be creative narrative writing. Really, any kind of writing can be transformed into a digital story. Here are some examples of some ideas that could be used, in addition to probably the most popular, which is a creative writing format or a narrative format. You could do public service announcements. I've seen some excellent digital stories that are educating the public on a topic that's really important to students. This can also help serve an authentic purpose, so students could actually be creating a public service announcement in the hopes of creating change in the world, not just a pretend assignment, but something that actually can cause a change for good. Some other great ones are book trailers. Students love to create book trailers. It's a great way to encourage reading. Documentaries are a great fit. Breaking newscasts. So these are just a couple ideas. After your students have found their story or their idea or their inspiration, they're ready to go on to the research stage. This is one of the most crucial stages and one in which students are really employing a lot of their skills or fine-tuning their skills. So creating a digital piece involves more than just researching the content or the meat or the information. Students also need to find images and music that help enhance their communication goals. And because of this, it's really important in this stage that we teach digital literacy, such as copyright and fair use. They need to understand what they're legally able to use and understand the importance of crediting sources. This is a very important skill, and it's also part of the Nevada academic content standards. So we're going to dive into this topic by watching a short video that's produced in conjunction with Common Sense Media. It's produced by the Teaching Channel, and it goes into how to teach copyright and fair use. Okay, now I'd like you to think and reflect back on the video and ask yourself these questions and share out. Okay, so the next question you might be asking yourself is, where do I find public domain images and images that my students can use and make sure that they're following those digital citizenship guidelines that we've talked about. I'm going to give you several different sites that you can explore that have Creative Commons images or public domain images, as well as some sites for sounds and music. Okay, so after research, we're ready to kind of put it all together and do some organization and prep. At this point, students are ready to put their writing, the music, and the images together and plan and organize their final piece. So during this stage, I really recommend that your students use some sort of a storyboard to organize and plan how their story will be produced. A storyboard can be simple. I've seen many younger children simply use a blank piece of paper for each slide. So that would be totally appropriate for, let's say, kindergarten. For older students, you may want to step it up a little bit and maybe provide them with a template, or there are quite a few digital storyboard generators out there if you want to do it all online. Here's one that is called Storyboard Generator, and it does allow students to build their own. And so they're using that digital tool. Let's take a closer look at a screenshot of what this might look like. Once students are inside the generator, you can see that it gives them a chance to upload all their images. They can view different layers. They can add their text. It really helps them organize how it's going to look. Here's an example of one that you could hand out on a piece of paper. It's got all the main elements that you would need, so students could kind of sketch or write the location of the digital image that they have already found and identified. Then they can write their description, they can write their narrative of what they're going to write out or what they're going to read, and then their media list so that they can identify some transitions or songs or sounds or voice recordings and whatnot. It's really important that all of this planning is completed prior to students sitting down with their computer or their tablet or whatever they're using to actually produce their story. You're going to save a lot of time and be a lot more effective if this is completely done and approved and edited prior to actually jumping on your technology and doing the production. So let's take a moment and let you explore some different examples of storyboards that are out there. Okay, so now we're in our production phase. Remember, your students are going to come to the table with everything planned and approved, all revisions and edits on their writing completed. They're going to want to make sure they do some practice runs with their narration, make sure they practice that so that they're comfortable. And I'm going to give you just a couple tools that can support digital storytelling, but honestly, there are tons and tons of different tools out there. One of the key parts of the Common Core and the Nevada Academic Content Standards is that students must know the strengths and limitations of different digital communication tools and know which ones meet their needs. So I really do encourage you to allow your students choice. I know with the younger students, you're probably going to want to introduce them and work with some tools together. But the older students, as they get more experience, allowing them that opportunity to to choose tools that they're comfortable with is a great idea. So to start, Little Bird Tales is a tool that you could use with younger students and all the way up through adults. It's a tool that really doesn't isn't limited to any specific age group. I'd like you to watch this short introductory video so that you can get a better idea of what this tool can accomplish. So Little Bird Tales is a tool that is free for teachers, and for um, an upgrade to premium you get a few more features and more space, but it does have quite a few features under the free account. Once you've signed up as a teacher and you've signed in, this is kind of what it looks like. This is your dashboard. So here you can see that you're able to easily create a tale, but just by clicking on this button right here, you can jump to tales that you've made, lessons, and whatnot. As you look down below, you can see that you have your management tools, so I can manage my students. If I click on that button, we'll see what this looks like. It's just taking a little moment here. I've created some really fake accounts, so I can click on a student that I've created and see everything that they have done and their activity. And then you can see over here, if you had a premium membership, it tells you really what you could do, which is manage students that aren't associated with a class, view student activity over time, and play tales without leaving this page. I can import students. If I go to manage classes, you can see all the classes that I've created, and you can identify what privacy settings you want. If you only want your students and yourself to see the class page is where you can really share all of their work in one spot. Great way to share, especially with parents. They love to see kind of a gallery of everything. You can print student cards, and when you do that, it will allow you to cut little strips of paper with different login and password information to make it easier for students. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of some of the management features. Let's go ahead and demonstrate how easy it is to create a tale. Okay, so I've used this with students as young as kindergarten and first grade, and they were able to do it marvelously. I always tell students only use first name because it's a great opportunity to teach some internet safety skills. Here you see the very simple interface. You've got the ability to draw, and this works well with an interactive whiteboard. So the students can actually draw their images if they've already planned those out. I'm using my mouse, and so I've seen students do it with a mouse. It's not the easiest thing, but it is possible. They can change colors and whatnot. I don't really know what I'm drawing right here, but I'm just trying to demonstrate how easy. You can upload images, so if they've already identified and found images that are fair use, they can do that. And they can use shapes and fill tools, and really they can be creative. It's what this draw tool is all about. And it does work really marvelous with an interactive whiteboard. So a scaffold for some younger children might be that they are each able to create maybe a page in a class book, and that you could use your interactive whiteboard as a center. Okay, so that is a really quick and easy way. I don't really recommend using the text tool on the whiteboard drawing part because from my experience it's really hard to go back and edit the text on the drawing board, there is another place in the digital book where you can actually um, type in some text. It's important to stress to students that they save each page and their artwork as they go along. Okay, so I've clicked save. I just wanted to double check. I can then use the record button to record my narration that I've planned out. So I simply click record. It asks me if I want to allow my microphone, which I do. I can click record, and then I'm able to go ahead and stop. I can play that back. I don't know if it's going to work because I'm actually using two sources of audio recording since I'm recording a webinar. But I think you can see how that works. So that's my title page. So I am able to save it. And then when I'm done, I can add pages. You can see my cover is saved over here and that it does have some voice recording. And now I'm ready to do pages. And the only difference between the cover and the pages is that now you can add text. Okay, and then when you're done, you can preview. So just a real quick overview of that tool. It's very easy, littlebirdtales.com if you'd like to explore that tool in more detail. Okay, so the next tool that I'd like to introduce you to is Animoto. Animoto has an iPad app and it's also web-based. And that's something I forgot to mention about Little Bird Tales as well, is that it does have an iPad app, but that is not free. That one is a cost. So with Animoto, it's very simple. You can sign up for an educator account, and I will provide you with the link on how to do that. Once you're logged in, you click Create, and it gives you some themes to choose from. Some of them you have to have a paid account, so that's something that you can kind of look at and decide. So this one that I chose, the documentary, is only available with Pro, so I can't use that one. So I'm going to try to find one that I am able to use. Let's see here. Okay, so I can use this one. So I'm going to just choose that theme, click Create Video. Here's my dashboard. I can go up into my settings and I can change my title. Again, I'm only going to use my first name, my date, and then a description about what my video is about. I can choose a custom thumbnail as well. That's probably better to do later on. It's real simple to add photos or videos or text, so students could even take their own photographs, which is very easy to do nowadays. Now, most phones take images, and if students have access to any other digital photographic tools. So you can click the plus, and it allows you to even upload, but if students have photos on Flickr, they could go there, or you can look through their collection as well. Okay, so using their collection is, an easy way to make sure that you're following all those copyright rules. Okay, so if I wanted to add videos, I could as well. If I wanted to change my style, I could. So if you changed your mind about that, I can add text. Now with digital storytelling, usually you want to read your text and narrate over images. So you want to encourage students to be a little bit lighter on their text. The title, of course, you do want a nice strong title. And then you have some different options as you go along with shuffling, rotating, spotlight, things of that nature. You can edit your songs. Okay, so I can trim the song. It has one with the theme, so you can use that or you can change it. As you can see, you can upload songs or you can find some. So again, a really nice, easy tool to use is Animoto. Okay, so the final tool that I'd like to share with you is WeVideo. This is a tool that integrates nicely with Google Apps. So if you're interested in researching that a little bit more, it will perfectly integrate into those accounts. Or if your students have a Google for Education account, then it will integrate and they can access WeVideo directly from their Google. I like this tool because it does add in that collaborative element that I mentioned earlier. So it does make it very easy for students to collaborate on a joint project together. Once you sign up for an account, and you can go to wevideo.com, and I will provide you with some more exploration links later on if this is a tool you want to dive into a little bit more deeply. Once you log in, it will share a get started with WeVideo hub, and I'd like you to make sure you watch that video as it does provide a nice overview. I'm going to go ahead and close it out because I'm hoping that you'll look at that a little bit later. You can also see that they've got some help and support, and they have a WeVideo Academy that I will provide you a quick link to so that you can go through and choose the ones that you want to look at in more detail. The goal of for me during this presentation is just to introduce you to a couple tools, but then provide you with more time to dig a little deeper into maybe one of these tools, or again, maybe there's another tool that I didn't mention that you'd like to spend more time with. One that you really think fits the needs of your curriculum and the needs of your students. So you can see I can quickly click on create a new video. They are telling us they have a new Android app. And I'm going to say I'm using it for school, education. I'm an educator. And let's say I have a little bit, okay, a little bit of experience. So I can watch a short video. So it's really nice. It really helps you with these just-in-time learning opportunities as you go along. So if you need that support, you have it. Once I click Get Started, I can see that I have a nice little dashboard here. So right now I'm in the storyboard frame. I can click to videos and I can choose different backgrounds. And then if I like it, I can play it and preview it. If I like it, I can click add, and then it goes down into my actual active editing frame down below. As I mouse over it, you can see that I have a trash can if I want to get rid of it. I can shrink the size as well. I like the drag and drop interface, so I can easily drag and drop videos or images. I can upload my own if I want, or I can import from, Instagram. I don't think students are going to be able to do that within the school site, but Flickr might work. Or just upload ones that they've already identified as being fair use and that they've saved in a folder. I can change my themes. You've got some really nice themes. And then, of course, I can upload, and then I can record. So I can record my narration as well. Down here, see that I've got the theme song. Okay, so it gives me an option if I want to use that, or I can delete it. If I'm like, I'm going to delete that. then I can drag or drop or choose my own video or my own audio. Then when I'm done, I can, publish it and make that easy to save and publish. Okay, so that was a really fast and furious tour of WeVideo, and I really do want to provide you with some more personal exploration time because everybody has a different skill set, a different level, and I want to be able to provide you with that time to pick and choose which resources and which tools you want to dive into a little bit more deeply. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to do that. And when we come back, we will go ahead and look at some feedback and evaluation tools. Okay, so now that you've had some time to explore some different tools, it's time for us to move on to the final stage, which is making sure that students have evaluation tools and feedback tools. It's important that they get that at the end, but it's even more important that we share these expectations with them prior to them beginning their project. So you should have some sort of a rubric that's created and that you're able to share with students at the beginning of the project so that they can get a lot of practice with that self-directed learning, that they know what their learning targets are and they can progress monitor as they move along. There's a couple different rubrics that I'll give you an opportunity to look at. One in particular that's kind of nice is produced by Digitales. And when you visit the Digitales site, you can navigate to where their scoring guides are. And what I like is if you click on these descriptors, it will give you some more information about some scoring guides. So let's take a look at these. Okay, so here we are at the Digitales site, and this is a great site for you to spend a little bit more time on. Of course, I'm over here at the Evaluating Projects tab, but it's a great site for you to explore really all the elements of this site. Definitely would agree with that. Under the Evaluating Projects, you can see scoring guides. And when you look at the scoring guides, you can choose what type of story. So again, this is a great tool because you can allow that choice for your students. They can choose their purpose, and you can get a detailed scoring guide depending on whichever type of communication that student has chosen. So if I click on documentary, for example, it breaks it down specifically for a documentary. I've got prep, content knowledge. I like that it has evidence of learning because that ties in perfectly with our standards and with the 21st Century Learning Framework here in Washoe County. Just going to kind of scroll through here. And you can see that it really is a nice comprehensive site that really breaks it down. When you click on each criteria, it gives you an exemplar, developed, and then limited. It's important that you provide this with students at the beginning so that they can progress monitor, and something that you want to encourage students to improve. It's all about improving, and something that I would use this as a mastery learning tool so that students can get that feedback along the way and have time to improve upon. So definitely check this site out, and I will give you a little bit of time to explore some other scoring rubrics, but also don't forget that you can create your own. So there's Rubistar and all kinds of rubric makers out there if you want to kind of piecemeal some of the different ideas that you've seen and make your own. So at this point in time, I'd like to take a moment and talk about the Washoe County School District 21st Century Learning Framework. It includes the 6 dimensions of 21st century learning that you see on your screen. And in just a moment, I'm going to provide you with the link to our website, wcsd21.com. And I'd like you to dig a little bit more deeply into the criteria for skilled communication and use of technology for learning. And I'd like you to justify how digital storytelling helps meet the criteria for these two dimensions. So you've heard and you've been able to explore yourself and see the strong justification for digital storytelling as it relates to our standards and to our 21st century learning framework. So I think it's important that we talk about how this fits into the big picture for our district. And I'd like to share with you a piece of our strategic plan. And if you're not familiar with that, one of our goals is to ensure annual student academic growth through vertically aligned system of curriculum and instruction that's founded on rigorous and relevant instruction designed to meet the needs of every child in our diverse student population. And under that goal, we have a specific objective that states that states that we need to strengthen learning and teaching through technology and 21st century instructional strategies. So you can see that what you're doing at the ground level with your students is really a no-brainer. You're supporting our strategic plan for our district. It meets the standards and it supports those crucial 21st century learning skills. I'd like you to visit our Pinterest board that goes along with this presentation. Many of the tools that I didn't have an opportunity to share with you that you might find interesting. There's tons and tons and tons of digital storytelling tools that are out there, and I'll post some of those on this wall, Pinterest board. So if you want to explore those in more detail, you can do so. I'd like you to take a moment to read the disclaimer. And if you'd like more information about becoming a 21st century educator and furthering your professional growth in that area, here's some more resources for you. I hope that your time here today was well spent and that you were able to learn more about what digital storytelling is, why you should do it, and how to get started. Thank you for your time and good luck with your digital storytelling endeavors.